Hey, so I wanted to make a devlog mostly for myself, but I also wanted to share some progress I've been making on a new video game. I've been learning how to use Godot, and my first video game is probably quite a bit of a doozy. It is a card combat RPG, and I have mostly been working on the backbone of the game to get it to function. So, a lot of it has been architectural things, such as, having like a walking sprite. I'm actually going to pick up a controller, and you can see the controller input. There we go. Cooperates with me. Controller input actually functions as intended. I can run around. I can wrap around these buildings, and it properly, layers the sprites and everything. Now, what are the core components of a RPG? Like, think your classic RPGs, right? You need to be able to travel between instance levels, you need to be able to initiate dialogue, and you need to have a battle system and a progression to the game as well. So, what are the approaches that I took to either of these? I actually have a level instancing system, and how it works is in that few milliseconds that the screen is black, it instantiates the new scene, removes the previous one, and it makes a call to place the player at the correct position based on whatever portal I just walked through. So if we take a look actually at the debug here, I've got a load signal origin, and as you can see, if I walk out, I actually also have it, which places this character standing right outside the door. Another thing that I found important was obviously having an interesting dialogue system. So I've got a bit of a temporary asset going on where I can speak with the sign, which is me, actually, and I can present the player with dialogue options. Thankfully, I did not have to make this myself. This is me working with the dialogue manager system that is made by some legendary guy. I'll absolutely put a link to it. I can speak with the sign, and the character has a temporary sprite that is also animated, as you can see there, to kind of have a bit of lively, the game, and you can just advance the text, and it's basic at the moment, but I plan on adding kind of talk sounds and stuff like that, but audio design has not been my primary concern at the moment. The second sign here actually is a save game sign, so it's also hooked into the dialogue system. However, when I talk with it, it actually initiates a game save, and I know that it actually works because, as you can see, I've got a freshly created game save right here. This resource is very small at the moment because there's only a very small amount of data stored, but it collects all of my player data, all of my game state data, and packages it into a single resource that is saved to the user directory. So I plan on expanding what the actual the directory can hold. However, I've inherently designed it to be modular so that I can expand it on a whim. So if I need to save the player's position when they save a game, I can do that. I can save their party members, their master deck, their inventory, everything. The very last thing that I have implemented or that I'm working on is probably the most important tenet, and that's the battle system. It is not quite there yet, and I'll probably do an entirely separate log that kind of covers just the battle system because it is such a large undertaking purely because of the elements that go into it. However, I talk to the sign, it loads a battle scene, which I've created some cards. These cards are dynamically created based on resources that include things like their name, their text, their cost, the card art, the character it belongs to. It all instantiates it on a generic card resource that is drawn from a draw pile and added to the hand. You start with a hand of 5 cards. However, I can press a button at any time to actually draw a new card, and as you can see, I've got a little bit of I can actually store as many cards as I want in my hand, although if I try to draw more than 10 cards at the moment, I will draw from an array that is empty and crash the game. So, yeah, I mean, that's the most of what I got. I've been generally thinking about implementing the science fiction elements over time. This is mostly just like a debug scene I threw together in like 10 minutes to test different aspects of the game, and as I do more and I start to playtest, I'll create more temporary assets that are kind of designed to touch the vibe of what this game is going for. But I have been thoroughly enjoying learning how to program with GDScript, and if you are thinking of creating a game and you want to get your feet wet in extremely deep and extremely rewarding to learn mechanisms, I highly recommend Godot. Anyways, if you were watching this devlog, thank you. I will probably have a more scripted one next time. I will see you in the next one.